Did you know that the first true science fiction novel was written by a woman? If you're a lover of all things history, then don't forget to hit the follow and let me know in the comments what sort of content you want to see. Mary Wollstonecraft Godwin, more famously known as Mary Shelley, was born on the 30th of August 1797. She was the only child of William Godwin and Mary Wollstonecraft. Mary Wollstonecraft was a philosopher and women's rights activist. She is famous for writing the groundbreaking feminist text, Vindication of the Rights of Women. Unfortunately, Mary Wollstonecraft died just 11 days after the birth of her daughter. Mary would grow up in the household of her father, William Godwin, and her stepmother, Mary Jane Clairmont, with whom she had a very difficult relationship. In 1814, Mary would begin a romantic relationship with Percy Bysshe Shelley. The couple would go on allegedly to consummate their relationship on the grave of Mary's mother, the infamous Mary Wollstonecraft. Given the fact that Shelley was already married to another woman, the couple were ostracised by society, and so they decided to travel across Europe. The couple were joined by Mary's stepsister Claire Clairmont, who would go on to become the mistress of the infamous Lord Byron. In 1815, Mary would go on to give birth to a little girl who unfortunately died shortly after birth. This loss sent Mary into a deep depression, but she eventually recovered and had a second baby, a son named William, in 1816. In 1815, Mary, along with her lover, her stepsister and her son, as well as Lord Byron and his physician, John William Polidori, rented a villa near Lake Geneva, and it was here that Mary would come up with the concept for Frankenstein. It was on a dark and stormy night in the Villa Diodati when Lord Byron suggested that the residents of the house compete to see who could write the ghost story. And it was this story that would serve as the basis for the modern Prometheus, more famously known as Frankenstein. The book was published in 1818, and as you'd expect, given the time period, critics immediately dismissed the idea that the text was written by a woman. Instead, they credited the book to her husband Percy, who would go on to become a literary titan of the Romantic period. Like her contemporary Jane Austen, Mary Shelley had a profound impact on the development of English literature. I wish that I could say that Mary lived a long and happy life, but unfortunately that was not the case. In 1816, Mary's half-sister, Fanny Imlay, died following an overdose of laudanum at an inn in Swansea. Fanny's death was followed by the death of Percy's wife just 2 months later. The couple would go on to wed on the 30th of December 1816. They would go on to have a further 2 children, Clara and Percy Florence. However, both William and Clara would pass away in early childhood. Mary's husband Percy would die in 1822 in a boating accident at the age of 29. Following the death of her husband, Mary returned to England and continued her writing career. She would go on to write The Fortunes of Perkin Warbeck, as well as Lodore and Faulkner, but Frankenstein would always remain Mary's most famous work. Mary Shelley never remarried, and she passed away on the 1st of February 1851 at the age of 53. I'll see you next time.